The trust tree.
Some time ago, in a curious town settled between moving slopes, there was a legend of a magical tree known as the trust tree. The tree was said to have the ability to uncover the real essence of an individual's dependability. It was said that the people who moved toward the tree with an earnest heart would be compensated, while those with duplicity in their spirits would be uncovered. The town was known for its affectionate local area. However, there were intermittent questions and doubts among the inhabitants. The trust tree was their possible method for looking for reality when vulnerability sneaked in. It stood tall and great at the core of the town square, its leaves sparkling with a strange quality that appeared to welcome those needing its insight. One radiant morning, a young fellow named Samuel ended up having some issues. He had been endowed with the obligation of monitoring the town's depository, an errand he treated exceptionally well in a serious way. Recently, a series of burglaries had been tormenting the town, and trust among the locals was gradually dissolving, not set in stone to re-establish it. Samuel concluded the time had come to go to the trust tree. With overwhelming sadness and shaking steps, he moved toward the old tree, his deepest considerations uncovered. "Trust tree," he murmured, "uncovers to me reality. Assist me with defending myself and distinguish the hoodlum." The trust tree answered by gleaming with an ethereal shine. Out of nowhere, the leaves stirred, and Samuel's heart skirted a thump. Incredibly, a little, brilliant sapling grew at the foundation of the trust tree. The residents accumulated around, and their interest was provoked. As Samuel contacted the sapling, a peculiar sensation conquered him. He felt a mind-boggling inclination to admit his questions about his own sibling, Thomas, who had been acting peculiarly recently. Samuel conceded his apprehension that Thomas may be associated with the burglaries. Double-crossing the trust of the town, the sapling sparkled considerably more brilliantly, and the residents traded concerned looks. They chose to go up against Thomas about Samuel's doubts. However, shocked right away, Thomas conceded his culpability and returned the taken merchandise. Tears of regret in his eyes, yet again, the trust tree had satisfied its motivation, reinforcing the obligations of trust inside the town. Samuel's veritable aims and the trust tree's otherworldly power had uncovered reality and prompted compromise. The residents understood that trust was a delicate yet fundamental piece of their local area, and they swore to safeguard it. After some time, the trust tree kept on filling in as a signal of confidence in the town, directing the occupants to retouch their bonds at whatever point uncertainty or misinformation took steps to sneak in. It had demonstrated that trust, when supported with truthfulness, could conquer any test, and that, eventually, trust was the establishment whereupon each local area ought to be constructed. The trust tree's impact stretched out past the town, drawing in explorers from far-off lands who had heard stories of its otherworldly abilities. They traveled to the town, looking for replies to their most significant inquiries and problems. The trust tree had turned into an image of trust and genuineness, where individuals could uncover their spirits unafraid of judgment. At some point, an exhausted explorer named Isabella showed up in the town. She had been meandering for quite a long time, looking for her tragically missing family, destroyed by conditions she had zero influence over. Isabella's heart was weighty with distress, and her confidence on the planet had disappeared. Moving toward the trust tree, Isabella shared her story, her voice shuddering with feeling. She requested direction in tracking down her family and the solidarity to trust once more. The trust tree answered with a delicate, consoling shine, filling Isabella with a newly discovered feeling of trust. The locals, contacted by Isabella's situation, revitalized to help her in her journey. They offered their help, shared their insight, and soon Isabella ended up encompassed by another family individuals of the town who had once looked for the trust tree's direction themselves. Months transformed into years, and the trust tree's standing spread all over, turning into a reference point of trust for all who looked for its insight. Guests from far-off lands brought accounts of their own, of how the trust tree had retouched broken companionships, rejoined families, and assisted networks with recuperating. The tree's legend developed further, its supernatural powers reaching the hearts of individuals all over the planet. The town, once a calm villa, had changed into a clamoring focal point of sympathy, understanding, and solidarity. Trust was at this point not simply a word, it was a lifestyle. The trust tree had reminded the world that trust was an idea as well as a significant power that could change lives and associate individuals in manners they never imagined. Thus, the tale of the trust tree lived on, a demonstration of getting through the force of trust, thoughtfulness, and the conviction that even despite uncertainty and vulnerability, the human soul could find its direction back to trust and solidarity.
To be continued. Story. To English Stories subscribe.